how to calibrate the level or phase blind cutting machine. As we get into this task, it's important for you to understand that as you're visiting your Lowe's stores, you may see different versions of the phase blind cutting machine. There are small differences in these machines because they have been in the stores for such a long amount of time, and we have manufactured different phases or version of this machine. If you're looking for a reference, please take a look at the product cutting instructions that should be found in all stores, and you can flip to the machine diagram section to notice and look through pictures of what these different phases look like. Before we get into this task, I want you to understand the reasons why you would be calibrating the phase machine. The reasons behind this might be if you've received a call from your store associate and they're claiming that their blinds are being cut off or at a measurement that they did not set the machine to. For example, if you receive a call and your associates have been cutting faux wood blinds and they wanted that blind to come out to 30 inches exact. If that blind is consistently coming off a 1/4 inch greater or to 30 1/4 every cut, you may need to come in and move that tape and calibrate the blind cutting machine. You are looking for consistent measurements every time that product is cut. If you receive a call and the associate claims that every time they cut a faux wood blind, there are different measurements that it is off. Maybe the first time they cut it, it's 30. The next time they cut it, it's 30 1/8. The third time they cut it is 30 1/4. If there are inconsistencies in the measurements after cutting, there is a training need in that store or an operator error is occurring. So it's important for you to understand the why behind calibrating the phase blind cutting machine. Next, let's discuss the tools needed when calibrating the level or phase blind cutting machine. First, you will need the calibration and installation instructions. This PowerPoint can be located in your dock locker and will walk you through step by step how to calibrate each tape on the blind cutting machine. Next, you will need the tape scraper. This razor blade will help you remove the tape that is being calibrated. Next, you will need a Sharpie marker to mark the correct location of the tape that you're calibrating. You will also need your replacement tape to use when calibrating the tape and laying it in the correct location. You will need a tape measure to confirm the tape calibration once it has been installed. And last, you will want your product cutting instructions on hand for any questions you may have about the cut process after you have installed the tape. Now we will review how to calibrate the right side of the machine with the aluminum and vinyl tape that is yellow and pink. The first step that you will want to do is to log into the level or phase blind cutting machine. Steps for logging into the machine can be found in your product cutting instructions that can be found on all phase machines in store. Next, you will select the vinyl icon. The right side of your machine will raise slightly and your yellow ready when lit light will turn on. Next, you will slide the center measuring guide down to 19 inches outside mount on your yellow and pink vinyl and aluminum tape. Now that we've set our center measuring guide to 19 inches outside mount on our yellow and pink vinyl and aluminum tape, you are going to want to take the measurement from the vinyl cutting die here, the silver die, to the right edge of your center measuring guide. The measurement that you are wanting to achieve is 8 1/4 inches. So you will place your tape measure up against that silver die and again measure to the right edge of your center measuring guide. And for a perfectly calibrated machine, you should achieve 8 1/4 inches. Now it's important to note, we've just calibrated to the vinyl die. The aluminum die on this machine is located directly beneath your vinyl die on the machine. Once you've calibrated for vinyl, your aluminum blinds are calibrated as well. You also use the same tape when cutting aluminum mini blinds. If after you've checked calibration, this tape is not calibrated to 8 1/4 inches from the vinyl die, you will need to replace this tape. Now remember, the level or tolerance is 1/8 of an inch. So if you measure to the vinyl die and it's only off by 1/8 of an inch, then you do not need to replace this tape. But if it is off by 1/8 of an inch, greater than 1/8 of an inch, either way, you will need to replace the vinyl and aluminum tape. Prior to removing the tape, you will need to take your Sharpie and make a small line at the edge of that tape. That helps mark where the current tape is located so you can understand where to relay or replace the new tape. Next, you will take your tape scraper and gently begin to remove the vinyl or aluminum tape. Let's review a couple of key takeaways when recalibrating the vinyl and aluminum tape. Remember, if your tape is within that 1/8 of an inch tolerance, you do not need to replace your yellow and pink tape. Another piece to keep in mind is that this is also a half scale tape. So you will see the relationship between the vinyl and aluminum tape to an actual tape measure. The reason that this is at a half scale is because when cutting vinyl and aluminum mini blinds, you cut that blind twice. You cut one side and flip it to cut the other side as well. So it is cut twice, so my tape is at a half scale. Next, what you need to remember when replacing this tape. If I measure to 8 1/4, and let's say that the measurement to the die is less than 8 1/4. Let's say it is at 6 inches. That means you are cutting too much off of that mini blind and you need to move this tape to the left or move it away from the shear. Inversely, if you take that measurement and it's greater than 8 1/4, let's say it measures to 10, you aren't cutting enough off of that mini blind, so you need to move the tape closer or to the right towards the shear to really adjust that tape properly. Another good best practice is to test cut product after you have replaced this tape. So grab a vinyl mini blind off the shelf and confirm that you have replaced this tape accurately. Last, ensure you are referring to your calibration and installation instructions in this PowerPoint that can be found in your dock locker to ensure that you're following the correct methods when calibrating the blind cutting machine.